again, the STEP survey that is currently ongoing until the end of April. We are looking to complete as many respondents as possible so that we have a good idea of how healthy is St. Martin. The STEP survey consists of questions, body measurements, and blood testing. So it's very extensive and very thorough. But why is this important? I've had many meetings recently, in the recent weeks, with the White and Yellow Cross, the hospital, so St. Martin Medical Center, with the SLS lab, with the Windward Island Medical Association, so the WIMA, which are the GPs, the general practitioners, and what I am hearing is a high incidence of diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol, etc. in our community. I want us to all be conscious of that and to monitor, because you see when we do not monitor these non-communicable diseases, the effects of it. There's early blindness, there is becoming dialysis patients, etc. So we have our health in our hands. So I am appealing to the community to monitor your, to do screening, preventative screening, and to monitor these NCDs and participate in the STEP survey.
Can you give us an update on the construction of the new general hospital and if the project date, the end date, is on target?
The hospital is on target now for end of 2026. What I've been telling people is, when we pass, and I have been guilty of that too, you pass and you see the construction, you don't know what you're seeing and you're wondering what's going on. What we're actually seeing is the basement of the hospital. And the hospital will be quite self-sufficient in the sense that they will have water storage under there in the basement. So that's what we are seeing now. We are seeing the water storage facility. We're also seeing the fuel facility for their generators so that they can be self-sufficient in case of any kind of storm or anything. So what we're also seeing, those big beams, those are actually resistant to earthquakes, and they will be resistant also for heavy winds, for hurricanes. So it's going to be a state-of-the-art, steady building that can go through a storm, and it can be, let's say, a place in case of any calamity that our community will have as well. And it's also being built high up from the ground. That's why what we are seeing there, you would think that would be a ground floor or anything, but that's just the basement. And on top of that, you still have the floor that's coming, so you can see how high it will be above sea level. So, and they are on time. And what I liked personally about the presentation that they gave is that they are paying per action. So when the construction company completes a part, then it's being paid. So it's not like a bulk payment. They are really looking at what they are spending the money on, and they are on target.
Another question I would have relating to the hospital and the time it will take and, the way they're going. I don't know if they have enough workers on site now. Maybe you can tell us about that. Mm-hmm. But also, are you at all concerned about the funds SZV is spending to send patients overseas? Just recently, yes, SZV announced, they are sounding the alarm about mm-hmm. their funds.
Yes.
And if we are continuing to ship people abroad and families and giving daily allowances, this is not helping.
Yes, our healthcare costs, I find our healthcare costs alarming when I look at it. All of the presentations that I have show us that healthcare is, we cannot continue this way. I think it's by 2028, if we continue this way, we will not end up well. And I am focused on that. There are some things that I'm not, let's say, privy to speak about right now, because I like to speak about something when I have it, when, I've signed it. But there are measures that we are taking now, and there are actions that we are taking now to bring down the cost of healthcare. And we do have to send some people away. And now we have to look at how long people go away for. Because if we have quality control in the country that we send the people, sometimes you go to operate your knee, you don't have to stay there for physical therapy because you have physical therapy on the island, so you can come back. Then we don't have to pay that daily allowance all the time, and we have the quality care here because we have very good people, very good physical therapists here. But it's not only physical therapy, but other medical services that we have here that we no longer need to have the person stay there because they went for this one specialist. So we want to shorten the time that they're away. And so we're working on that. We're working on various ways to bring down the cost, the medical costs. Also, by having more specialists here in the hospital, and with the new hospital being built, we're going to see where we're going to have more specialists. But we're also doing that with the, for instance, the White and Yellow Cross. They have submitted now for an expansion, and with their expansion, you will see where you will have lower costs as well, because we know that we have long lines waiting for people to get into the White and Yellow Cross facility for the elderly, the St. Martin home. But maybe some of those people don't need to go to the home if we can offer more home care. So I am now really focusing on the elderly and trying to put some things in place for home care to minimize the amount of people who will need to go to the St. Martin home.
Karen Newman. I was born in the Netherlands, but raised here on this beautiful little island of ours. I grew up in a little neighborhood of Simpson Bay, a little fishing village. My grandmother is one of the greatest inspirations for me to get into farming. She has been introducing fruits, herbs, and spices to me from a little kid, from drinking bush tea to picking passion fruits in the backyard. And even when I was little, selling some at the fish market. I used to sell 4 of them for $1. She said I was way too overpriced. But yes, other than that, right now I am the co-founder and managing director of Yellow Sage Farms. We are a hydroponic farm located in Madam Estate. We have a 40-foot container that's all-encompassing, basically, so we control the climate inside of that container. Inside a container, we can grow up to 6,000 heads of lettuce at full capacity. With a turnover of about every 3 weeks, we can have it filled and shipped out. We just had the NRPB help us with a bit of a grant, and we now have a 30-foot by 60-foot greenhouse with 42 towers, each scaling about 3 meters tall. Each tower can hold about 52 plants inside of the tower. At the moment, we are just in our experimental phase. Our first seedlings only got planted in October, so right now we're just testing out what works best with our system. Seeing that St. Martin is a very tiny island, we had to look for these different options. For example, vertical farming, as we're doing inside of our container in our greenhouse. We don't have much soil that's quickly aggrable. You can't really turn up the soil too quickly, and where we are, there's lots of rocks. The soil is a bit clayish, so it retains too much water, or when it dries out, it becomes too dense for roots to easily pass through. So we decided to go that route. Of course, we have a multitude of natural fruit trees spread out throughout the island, and with that, we took notice that on our property, we have the acerola cherry tree that's growing wild here throughout the island, and we are moving towards, based on what we witnessed in St. Kitts with all of their orchards, we are planning to do the same thing here. Now, moving on into St. Kitts, for Denisio and myself, growing isn't a new thing. How they are growing is not a new thing, but the scale of what they are growing at is a big difference. For those that don't know, St. Kitts removed the majority of their sugarcane fields and now have been transforming what was a sugarcane monocrop into a multitude of different crops. So when you go there now, you can see the greenhouses on the sides of the street that were granted or subsidized by the agriculture department. A multitude of them, and these greenhouses are a minimum of 100 feet long by, I believe, 30 feet wide as well. And it's impressive to see that the agriculture department was able to provide that for them, particularly noticing that the majority of this came about just at the beginning of COVID. when people notice, okay, the supply chain is a bit fragile at the moment, we can't readily take in food and produce from these larger countries, though it might seem like, okay, yes, they're producing things at a larger scale, yes, but the quality of your produce will not be the same as if I'm bringing my stuff from Madam Estate to you in Don Beach, for example. And we can make that happen now, knowing that, like I mentioned before, we can turn over our crops very easily. They're doing different crops than we are doing here because of the space that they have, but that does not limit us from being able to do the same. And that's the main point of us going over there, to realize that, yes, we are tiny. We are a quarter of their size with 3 times their population, but we can feed our own population with the size of lands that we have here.
Thanks for giving me this opportunity to be here this morning to share a little bit about my experience with the trip to the minister in St. Kitts and Nevis. A little bit about my background. Well, I am Denisio Wyatt, a born St. Martino. Most know me through the struggle of agriculture itself, trying to get the awareness building up, off and running within our communities. Over the past 10 years, it has been quite an adventure for me, most particularly venturing into it because of my health, being sick with epilepsy. And so with that, venture going a little bit deeper into agriculture and exploring different options when it comes to health and nutrition, looking at your food as your medicine, it really fascinated me on how food could really save somebody's life. Today we look at the obesity problems, the health problems that we face amongst our communities and in the world in general, and we wonder how did we get there? And it's a simple factor, and it all begins with the food that we're consuming today. Foods filled with unhealthy foods, and then foods also filled with so many different synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. These trace minerals eventually also do play a key role. And then we have a lot of greasy foods and junk foods. People stray so far away from when we were like little children running through the communities, and what was fun for us was to run up in a kinip tree or run up in a mango tree and basically enjoy that fruit of the land. We came a long way now after so much hurricanes, so much overdevelopment, that we're now in a position where, food production on the island is so minimum. So for me, a few years back, dealing with my own health issues, being in Curacao, for example, and just walking through the start in Curacao, there was like a little juice bar everywhere in the town, and for me, that was really nice, to get a fresh juice just walking on the road. It was so difficult here to get that experience because everywhere along the road there's either fast food or a Spanish bar or a Chinese restaurant. So to get something healthy was very minimal. So I saw that in Curacao in 2010 when I went away to get my annual MRI scan, and I came back with that concept to the community to start a smoothie bar, a fresh, natural juice smoothie bar in the middle of the community. And for me, it was very important to do so because, again, like I say, within the community, there was nothing healthy along the strip that you could actually indulge in, So during that time of opening the smoothie bar in the front of the road, I got so many different visitors and people were stopping by and, buying smoothies and really liking the introduction of this new juice to the community. So with that, I end up, meeting different people that also asked me at one time. I met Mr. Richardson in the past and was asking me, like, you grow these fruits, I was like, man, Martin can't grow nothing. That's what we were conditioned to believe from a young age coming up when everybody transitioned off the land into the hospitality sector. And so with that, I didn't really take it on too much. And sometime down the line, we end up, my stepfather, who is originally actually from St. Kitts, grew up in Anguilla, and also lived in St. Lucia. His background has always been planting food. So one day we was in Green Fingers and he was like, hey, let's buy these pack of seeds. Let's just try something, in the front by the house by the smoothie bar. And he came back home. Bear in mind, during that time, I was still suffering from epileptic seizures. So it was really a part of my life where every day was a distraction, So he went ahead, planted the seeds and everything. Maybe 3 months passed. Tell you the truth, I didn't even see these things growing for the past 3 months right in front of my door, so distracted, right? And he came inside one day and he was like, look the peppers, look there's broccoli, sweet pepper, bell peppers, seasoned peppers, eggplant. And I was like, what? That look good, where you get them in the shop? And he was like, how you mean in the shop? You know, like these growing right outside in front of the yard. And so I went outside and take a look. And I think for the first time seeing these things actually grow was really what changed my life, you know, and that allowed me to want to venture deeper into more research on how these plants grow, how best ways to maintain them. And I ended up on Dr. Sebi and your food is your medicine. And you know, 6 years into the journey of tilling the soil, being in the land, eating from the land, I was actually, my seizures was just reduced tremendously. By the 7th year, my seizures was totally gone. And so for me, it has been more of a venture of having this second chance to be able to educate people for the future on what the benefits of our land and our food have for our people. So for me, in the past 10 years, it has never been agricultural development. It has always been awareness building. And so with the farm that I established from a community garden to an agricultural research and development center, we basically took the time to build a facility where we can educate. And I think this trip to St. Kitts was so amazing because it got to see so much where we're lacking, so much where we can improve. I mean, the ministry there assists the farmers, again, with seedlings, they assist with land, they assist with equipment, they assist with water tanks, fencing. I mean, once you are willing, and it has its pros and its cons because those that are not fully willing sometimes take advantage of the situation. But for those that are truly willing, they're making tremendous progress. And I think just with that trip and what we saw can really add so much value back to the knowledge that we already have and how we can move forward here for Country St. Martin. So I would love to definitely thank the Honorable Minister for allowing us to be exposed to that. And I think St. Martin government can definitely do a whole lot more to assist with food production moving forward. Thank you.
Are you Asset V insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? Asset V is cardless. Request your My Asset V account today and enter the virtual office of Asset V. Go to assetv.sx and sign up now.
Asset V, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
First place, I would like to direct some words to my candidates. First of all, this URSM has candidates that has proven to stick to the core values and principles of the URSM. If you look good at this political party list, you're going to see candidates that all contested the past election in January 2024. It shows and proves their commitment of putting people and country above self and not using political parties for self-interest. Out of my heart, as leader of the URSM, I really thank you for your commitment to adhere to the bigger picture to serve your country. To the people of St. Martin, unfortunately, we are in a situation again that we are heading to the polls. It proves our immaturity. It proves that this has been done by people that has personal agenda above people and country. But we're not going to give up. The moment I realized the agenda behind what has happened recently that broke this government, I pulled and evoked Article 59 to give back the mandate to the people, for the people to have the tool in their hands again on the 19th of August to show St. Martin and show the world that we are really in need of real people with a good heart and a good intention for the people of St. Martin. I would also like to make use of this opportunity to thank the Central Voting Bureau for gardening a safe, objective, correct election for Country St. Martin. I really want to thank all members of the Central Voting Bureau for the extra mile that they're going, although the fact that they did it in January already, that once more they show their professionalism to organize again, to show the people of St. Martin that we have real democracy in this country. And fourth, I would like to thank all the civil servants of the civil registry. You cannot imagine how much work it is to organize an election for this country. For that, I want to thank all civil servants and all the people involved and committed to organize this election. Out of my heart and out of the heart of URSM, we really want to thank you. And the people of St. Martin, once more, URSM is here to serve you. URSM is counting on you. Thank you.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurance.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurance.
Sleep naked at night time to me at 1 week now no light. I chew me come on road me put on that frack. So me Sunday I'll know he's still in a shorts. Me have to cook me food early at the evening time because me no want eat mosquito and fly.
That's just the story of one of the residents in Dover St. Mary. And it's not peculiar to her alone or to that section of the island. The pain follows the passage of Hurricane Beryl, which has left the Light and Power Company carrying out extensive work on its systems to bring back the hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans on the national grid. But despite their efforts, residents have grown frustrated. It's why as early as a Friday morning, residents in Dover lit tires and used other debris to stage a protest. They have been out of the service for over 1 week.
You see, at night time, you can't even put your hand out the door, you can't even see your own hand. We understand, say, government is trying to put the light back on the main. We're on the main. We have to go to work. We things now, fridge must spoil. Like 10 days.
10 days, today make 10 days and there's no light and nobody said anything to us. And the problem is it's not that major where poles are done or nothing like that. It's a simple wire need to be reattached.
My son all afraid at night time. Because I'm afraid of forcing my witness there something. So JPS no need to come do something better. Me tired for fun. A cardboard me have to use at night time a fan. Me tired.
For them, security is of a major concern.
From the other day, a peer killing a go on here, so we're not safe none time at all. So we want the light as urgent, so we are called upon JPS.
Dangerous getting very dangerous. And I have my kids, them, I have my son, I have my children, them. So I need the light, JPS, I need the light. JPS is Jamaica people stress. We want stress, we want light today.
Media and Public Relations Manager at JPS, Audrey Williams, says a team from the power provider was on location and spoke with the residents. They have committed to restoring power to that area within the next 24 to 48 hours. Nakinski Robinson, TVJ News.
Renewed calls this afternoon for Jamaicans to be extra vigilant when using candles as a source of light. It comes following the destruction of a dwelling by fire in Porus, Manchester on Wednesday morning. 7 persons were left homeless as a result. Councillor for the Porus Division, Claudia Morant Baker, says while she has made efforts to provide kerosene oil to people within her division, most residents do not have lamps.
Put it in glasses that are not easily caught on fire. Nothing that can catch on fire. Don't put it in areas that it has risk. Because of that, 6 residents are without a dwelling house today, only because of using the candle and placing it at the wrong place. So that's a concern I have right across the division. So I'm encouraging persons, please take the necessary precaution to save yourself, your family, and your lives.
In the meantime, the councillor says only 2 areas within her division, the lower section of St. Tulis and a section of the Porus Main Road, have been reconnected to the national grid.
Old Porus, most poles are down. Along the Harmons Road, along the top St. Tulis roads, most poles are down. But I'm expecting the commodity to return as quick as possible because I know JPS is working really hard on it.
It's a rush against time to get this bridge, which joins the Cornwall Courts and other surrounding communities, to downtown Montego Bay fixed. The damage has left some 30,000 residents inconvenienced. They have also had to dig deeper into their pockets for fares, as taxi operators have imposed increases because the new route home has now become longer and it's also in a state of disrepair. Member of Parliament for Central St. James, Hugh Clark, says the bridge was damaged before Hurricane Beryl.
Residents were cleaning the area along with the work that we were doing, and somebody would have gone and lit a fire. The fire got out of control and burned the plastic tubing that we used to create the culvert across the roadway. And so we are left without a bridge per se.
Chairman of the St. James Municipal Corporation, Richard Vernon, says its assessment has been completed.
We will treat it as an emergency and we will be mobilizing the funds as soon as we identify it, as quickly as possible, to restore this roadway so persons can utilize.
It will also be done at a cost of $13 million, which we are mobilizing. But at this time, I beg and beseech and crave and all the words that would allude to the patience of the persons who are utilizing that thoroughfare, because we have to ensure that it is done properly.
And with the new academic year to begin in approximately 8 weeks, this commitment from Mr. Vernon.
We will be working on it to be completed in no later than about 8 weeks or so. So we'll work in conjunction with the Member of Parliament once we identify the funding, which we'll be working on immediately, and also the estimates and the necessary design and everything that needs to be put in place to facilitate rehabilitation. Once we have completed that, which we'll be working on immediately during the course of this week, then the work will start shortly after that. So no more than 8 weeks, and of course,